Hey everybody, Eric Switch here for TheGamer, joined today by Meg Pelliccio.
Hello.
Today we're discussing Metaphor ReFantazio, Game of the Year nominee. Meg is here to tell us why it deserves to be Game of the Year. Meg, first of all, to call something Game of the Year, you have to tell us why other things shouldn't be Game of the Year.
Oh,
So I think tell us why Metaphor deserves it and these other games don't.
oh, it's tricky. Like, I don't want to put other games down.
No, don't put them down. But what is Metaphor doing better? Why is it Game of the Year material?
I think what Metaphor has done is different from the other Game of the Year nominees. Like, they've obviously all got their own sort of selling points, but Metaphor has taken like Atlus's very successful winning sort of template, and it's like basically near perfected it. I don't want to say perfect, because no game's ever perfect, but they took something that was successful, and arguably it was a risk to meddle with that. You know, you think Persona was well loved, you're going to mess around with that template and try and turn it something new. It's risky, but they succeeded. Like, I think it's better than Persona, in my opinion. The way it's improved upon Persona, and also the way it's broken new ground with the archetype battle system, and like adding travel, and obviously just the whole new exciting setting. Like, Atlus needed that. I think it was like a brave move, and it paid off. So I think that's why it deserves it. And also, like, you know, Persona 5 was nominated, if I remember rightly, like in like 2017. Obviously didn't get it, but it got like best RPG. This is better than Persona, therefore it deserves to actually get it this time.
We're 10 years into the Game Awards, and we're kind of at that point now where we can look back at some of the old nominees and winners and see if they sort of stand the test of time. You know, I think one of them that people look back and are always surprised that Overwatch won Game of the Year.
I think that was like a popular vote thing, though, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like a widespread popular thing, whereas you could argue that other games that may have deserved it more, fewer people played it, maybe.
Well, that's sort of what I'm wondering about Metaphor. Like, okay, I have a couple questions. One, do you feel like this is a game that 10 years from now we'll look back and be like, oh yeah, that was a Game of the Year? Like, is this one that's gonna stick in the public consciousness?
Yes, I firmly believe that this is like the start of something new for Atlus. There's no way they're gonna just stop at one and be like, and let's go back to Persona. This is the start of a new, you know, spin-off series. I think they're gonna build on it. I really hope it's gonna obviously grow and improve, but for that alone, and how successful it's been, and how much I think it deserves to be well loved, I think we absolutely will look back on it and think, yes, that deserved to be Game of the Year.
Like, among these 6 games, we have like really broad mainstream appeal with most of them, and then this one kind of stands out. Maybe this one and Balatro as sort of being the, like, I think if you just ask Johnny Gamer, he's not even gonna know what this game is.
He'd know it more than Balatro.
Probably. But Black Myth, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, and Astro.
You're not wrong. It is like niche, which is a shame, because like Atlus and Persona and everything, and Shin Megami Tensei, obviously it used to be far more niche, and it's become more mainstream. Like, Persona 5 helped absolutely boom the series. But I feel like one of the hard things about Metaphor is, before launch, people were like, what is it? Is it Persona? Is it not? And it was kind of hard to pin down. And for those who haven't played it, it's still hard to pin down for them. And to try and sell it and be like, no, you should play it because it's like Persona, but it's not Persona. It's a double-edged sword in that respect.
and like, its story has a lot of depth, maybe more depth than most Persona games, and it's got great world building, but I don't think that is sold very well through a trailer or an ad. It kind of just looks like generic high fantasy on the surface. And then on top of that, it's a 100-hour JRPG. It just seems a little bit impenetrable.
It's definitely one of those ones where, you know what it's like on the team. We'll try and squeeze in recommendations before we do our Game of the Year list. So this past week played Balatro and became obsessed with it. That's easy to fit in, but obviously me trying to tell other people on the team, go and try Metaphor, they don't have 100 hours to sink into it, and it's the same for lots of gamers. Like, even if someone recommends it to them, they're like, do I really have time to sit and play this game? It's a commitment, and that in itself makes it like less played, I guess, than some of the others.
Right. And like if we look back at other winners, like how many of them have been as dense and demanding? I mean, we've had like big open world RPGs, but they've been very like popcorn, like Witcher 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, and a lot of our Game of the Year winners, Last of Us, Sekiro, God of War, are like big action games. Now, I think maybe you can make the case that of all the games on this list, Metaphor is closest to Baldur's Gate 3, which won last year. But otherwise, like, this is I don't know. I like that. That's sort of what's holding me back. Like, maybe it doesn't matter if this is actually the best game on this list, if it is the hardest to sell.
I don't. Like, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, the thing is, if it comes down to just like a popular vote thing again, and the game that most people have played, I think Astrobot is going to walk away with that, because more people will have played it. You know, from little 4-year-old Tommy or whatever to, you know, old man Bob. Anyone can play Astrobot, but that doesn't mean it's the better game.
Right. Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of things that make Metaphor stand out here. Like, narratively, it is so far beyond. I know people foam at the mouth over Elden Ring's opaque narrative, but like as far as storytelling goes, it's blowing all these other games away. None of them are even. Two of them aren't even trying. Right, Astrobot and Balatro don't have stories. No. Black Myth is an archetype. You know, it's a myth, right? It's in the title. And then like Final Fantasy just really drags and falls apart and like doesn't. It's just like bloated in a way that it doesn't seem like Metaphor is. It feels like Metaphor sort of deserves its runtime.
Yes, I mean, don't get me started on Final Fantasy, because, you know, I love Final Fantasy, but I think that's the Game of the Year nominee I was most surprised by. But yeah, and really, do you really want like a 3-parter like each time coming up? And no, sorry, Metaphor standalone, amazing, easy win.
Do you think that there's something to connect to? Not, I don't want to get into specific politics, but do you think there's something about the year 2024 and Metaphor that makes it resonate even more than it would have if it had come out a different year or a different decade?
I think so, yeah, like undeniably so. Now, obviously, Atlus say that it didn't purposefully do that in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, when you're playing a game that has this focus on politics and you know, and people being voted in and things like that, and we're doing the same thing in our real world, it's very hard not to draw a parallel and sort of feel that on a deeper level. Yeah, it's, you know, you're gonna do that.
And did that like add context to the game? Did that like make it a better experience? I'm wondering if that's going to be a factor.
I think it makes it more understandable maybe to people, because you're relating to the stakes of like, oh, if this guy who's not very nice becomes king, it's not going to be a good thing, and things like that. And obviously in the real world, you think that you're like, oh no, I don't want this person to get voted in. So I think, yes, people will relate to it more, maybe even like connect to it more emotionally as a result. It is a very, you know, we won't get into spoiler territory, but there's a lot of depth to it, and it's not just about politics. It goes into like racism and things like that. There's a lot to unpack there. I feel like they could expand more into that. I really would love a sequel where they dive into it even deeper. But they do a lot of interesting things in a fantasy setting as well, which makes it, I think, weirdly more interesting than if it was, you know, in the Persona setting where it's kind of like our world. I think this makes it more interesting, because it's like different from us and yet still very similar.
What's your elevator pitch? Like, why? What's your like 1 or 2 cents of why Metaphor should win?
I mean, the jokey answer is you can skateboard on a sword, and there's these two like Liverpudlian, I can't even say it, Liverpudlian Liverpool accent, like dog boys, which I absolutely adore. That's like the funny answer, but I
like dog boys.
I suppose the real selling points for Metaphor are the narrative. It really is like just sort of like a melting pot of everything kind of good. It's got an exciting new setting, and all of the characters feel well developed. All of these, you have lots of companions that if you go down their side routes and everything's so interesting. It's so well pulled together. And the other aspect for me is the battle system. The archetype system is one of the key selling points of the game. It's so interesting. It's just like a whole kind of vat of like strategy that you can really dive into and really fine tune if you want to. Like there's so much like you get really meta with it. That those two are like the key things for me.
Yeah. Okay, so you explained why it should win, but do you think it will win?
I don't think it will. I think Astrobot will win because of sheer numbers. Sheer numbers.
Yeah. It's a real yo-yo if it does, because we went It Takes Two, which is very Astrobot, to Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, which are like
I always forget It
crunchy.
Takes Two 1.
Yeah, and then back to Astrobot. So we have this like full spectrum of experiences. Like those Baldur's Gate 3 and Astrobot are like polar opposite games.
Yeah. I think Astrobot will win, and I reckon Metaphor's in with a better chance of getting like, I don't know. It was nominated for Best RPG as well, was it? I don't know. I focused on Infinite Wealth. Infinite Wealth was voted for Best RPG, and that should win. But
that probably will.
I hope so.
I don't know. I know that we'll never get this because you don't want to know the last place game, but I sure wish we could find out the rank. Like
that would be really interesting. Yeah. I
would love to know number 2 through 5 or 2 through 6,
and how close it was. I want Metaphor to win. I think it deserves it, and I think it shouldn't just be a popularity contest. I think Astrobot is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but for me personally, I prefer Metaphor over it. So I think that one should win.
And then what's your number 2?
It probably is Astrobot.
Probably Astro.
So yeah. I do like it. Yeah. I just think Metaphor's better.
Yeah, I think in a rank choice world, I actually don't know how they tabulate the votes, but in a rank choice world, the way that we do on TheGamer, it probably ends up being Astrobot, because even if it's number 3 on everyone's list, then it ends up being number 1.
Yeah, right? This is the thing. More people are going to include it, so it's gonna be up there in ranks. And I think the same thing. It probably applies to some degree, doesn't it? Yeah.
Right. Okay, excellent. The Game Awards are coming up, so we'll find out if you were right. Do you have any wagers? Have you bet on it?
I was just about to say, what do I win? What do I win if my game wins?
We'll put some cash up right now. How about $50,000?
$50,000. I'll settle for some like gold in Pokemon TCG Pocket.
All right, we'll bet some Gold. All right, thank you, Meg. We'll be back tomorrow with another discussion about a potential Game of the Year winner. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's TheGamer. No spaces.